excuse me. I'll let you have the floor now.
I'd like to welcome each one here this evening, Monday, October 16th, for our North Huron Town Hall Council meeting. I'd like to begin the meeting we'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is traditional territory of Nishnawbe, Ottawa, and Mississauga peoples. 2, confirmation of the agenda that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby accepts the agenda for October 16th, 2023 council meeting as presented. Do I have a mover? Councillor McBurney? Councillor Wright? All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interests. Anybody having any? None noted. Public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak on any item of business on the agenda, 2 minutes per person. If you just wouldn't mind saying your name and where you're from.
Absolutely. Thank you. Rachel King from the Blythe Festival. The Township of North Huron's existing strategic plan indicates our goal is to build a stronger economy through residential growth, retail, commercial, and industrial development, tourism, and thriving agriculture. And our goal is to be a vibrant and welcoming community that is proud of its roots, fosters volunteerism, and has a strong arts and culture presence. As you go about discussions regarding the Blythe Campground this evening, I encourage Council to consider the location's contribution to both tourism and culture in the township, key elements of the strategic plan. In 2021, with a land use agreement in place with North Huron Council and financial support from individual donors and the federal and provincial levels of government, the harvest stage was built. Over the last 3 years, the Blythe Festival has brought over 20,000 audience members from across the continent to the campgrounds. Many of those audience members have stayed at the grounds and returned another year to bring friends along for the same adventure. The site, as it currently exists, has been an affordable and desirable place for tourist visitors to overnight while in the village to partake in the world-class arts and culture on offer. These same folks shop in the village, eat in area restaurants, and contribute to the vitality of the community. While undoubtedly we all have fiscal realities these days, ceasing infrastructure that supports the tourism economy, an economy that brings new money and new interests to town, is counterintuitive to growing a strong economy and a vibrant, welcoming community. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll go on to number 5, consent agenda that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopts consent item 5.1.1, and further that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives consent items 5.1.2 to 5.3.5 for information. May I have a mover? Councillor Van Hitterson, Councillor Whitfield. Would anybody like to bring anything forward? Go ahead, Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, 532. It's a letter from the town of Midland. I'd like our staff to support what they are drafting. It's frustrating people, thieves, people that are on the wrong side of the law, and they just get away with it and they're let free. I always thought catch and release belonged to the fishing industry. But anyways, it's good to support the police and the legal system, and if we could do that, please.
Thank you.
So you'll want to amend the motion on the floor to pull 5.3.2, and then following that, we'll deal
Please.
with Councillor Palmer's action item.
Okay. So we'll pull 5.3.2.
So your mover of the first motion that's on the floor was Councillor Van Hitterson and Councillor Whitfield. So if they're fine with it, the new motion would be that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopts consent item 5.1.1, and further that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives consent items 5.1.2 to 5.3.5, exclusive of 5.3.2 for information.
Yep, that's fine.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried.
So then your second motion would be that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby directs staff to send a letter of support to the town of Midland regarding catch and release justice in Ontario.
We have Councillor Palmer, I have a seconder, Councillor McBurney. All in favor? Carried. Public hearings and delegations. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Beth Rumble and Trina Hoffman with Huron County Library. I'd like them to come up front on the stage, please, and give us your presentation. And then after, I'll ask council members for any questions.
So it's, if you just hit escape out of that presentation, it's open as a PowerPoint, your slides.
So you want me to close this?
Yep,
And-
yeah, if you
okay,
just hit
that's
escape.
good. Okay. Thank you for having us this evening. I am Beth Rumble, the county librarian, and I have Trina Huffman here, the branch manager for the North Team Libraries. We thought we would present to you today. We've been doing some onboarding at the county level with county council. However, as there are new councilors around the table here, and also because library service is a partnership with the local municipality, we wanted to make sure that you were informed of what's happening locally at North Huron branches as well. We have an organizational chart here for you just so you can understand the scope of the library. And I will just mention, sitting above myself there is the library board, which is a governance board for library service in Huron County. As you can see, our libraries across the province are very busy spaces. I think one of the reasons why that number is so high is because they are really a part of folks' daily life, that they're repeatedly visiting their libraries on an ongoing basis. So we do have a video, however, there is no sound in the auditorium here. So this is a 1-minute video that I would suggest, if you would like to view it, to go to the library's website, huroncountylibrary.ca, and you can view it there. And it just speaks to all of the services that the library provides, some of which you are not as traditional, such as our object library and some of the programming that we offer. These are just some statistics for the Huron County Library System as a whole. As you can see, they're very busy spaces. In 2022, we circulated over 350,000 materials. We also have over 17,000 library card holders, which I always like to point out that oftentimes a household may only have one library card. So when you consider that there are over 60,000 residents in Huron County, that there is broad usership of library service throughout the county. I do also want to draw your attention to the fact that Huron County has been acknowledged both locally as well as provincially on several awards, whether it's digitized newspapers, accessible service through our curbside service, or our excellent programming, that we are a leader in the programming and the work that we do at the library. I'll speak just briefly to the provincial landscape. The library does operate under the Public Libraries Act, which mandates that we provide free borrowing for Huron County residents, and the governance board that I mentioned earlier is appointed by County Council. We do fall under the Ministry of Tourism, Culture, and Sport. They provide us with an annual public library operating grant. However, I will note that it is quite a small portion of our budget, under 5%, and that has not increased since the 90s. There is also the Ontario Library Service organization that operates as an arm of the ministry to enhance cooperation and collaboration amongst Ontario libraries so that we achieve efficiencies between sharing. And then I do want to make sure I speak to the partnership that we have with our local municipalities. So just for clarity, the county provides the staff for the libraries, the equipment within the libraries, and the furniture. We provide the materials as well as all the library services and programmings. And then the local municipality provides the building, the maintenance, cleaning, security, and utilities. I will read the library's vision. We, as of last week, have updated our strategic plan. However, this was submitted prior to that. However, we still have the same ethos. At the time, the vision was Huron County Library is an inclusive and vibrant community hub. It builds community, enriches lives, and fosters creativity by providing access to information, skills, and ideas. And we go about that in several ways. We celebrate diversity. We are welcoming for all. We create opportunities for social connections. We really are that free third space that allows opportunities for social bumping. We lower economic barriers through our free services, including being fine-free. And we also offer opportunities for learning and entertainment. I'll just mention a few key initiatives for the library as a whole. We have our community hub work, which we call Libraries Transforming Communities, and that's where we really go outward, turn outward in our communities, and seek out what community members' aspirations are and main concerns for their community, and consider libraries as agents of positive community change. As I mentioned earlier, we have a new strategic plan that was just approved last week, and that really focuses, again, on being welcoming, innovative, communicating well as focuses on literacy and youth. We are rolling out library lockers at a couple of our branches, which allow access to pick up holds after library hours. And then finally, space refreshes that we continually rotate amongst our library teams to refresh the interior of those spaces to complement the work that the local municipalities are doing. And so with that, I will pass it over to Trina to speak about what's happening locally here in Wingham and Blythe.
The mic will pick it up from
Okay. So yes, thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening to share the exciting things happening at the Blythe and Alice Munro branches. Just enter.
Arrow is what I was doing.
Okay. So I'd like to start off by introducing my wonderful staff. These are the folks that you'll see when you visit the Blythe, Alice Munro, and Howick branches. So myself, Hamilton Baker, Paula Mackey, Stephanie Merchant, Joy Murray, and Charlene Young-Bolin. The library is often the first place that folks visit when moving to a small town, not only for the resources that we offer, but to find out information about community. In the first picture, you will see myself and members of the Wingham Community Connectors putting together welcome bags. And these bags can be picked up in Blythe and Wingham libraries. We pride ourselves on welcoming all who visit with a warm smile and helpful attitude. The library is a safe and warm space for many folks in our community. A smile, a coffee, and a check-in only takes a few minutes, but can have lasting impacts on some. The library has hosted welcome nights that brought together individuals new to Canada, new to Wingham, and residents who have lived here for many years. We continue to work with our local immigration partners to support those new to our communities. We are also delighted to host monthly class visits for public school classes, as well as support our homeschooling families in various ways. The library offers a multitude of fun and informative programs. We love it when we can participate in community events and collaborate with our community partners and those in our communities who have a skill to share. A few events shown here are March break performances. We've got sidewalk days that we participate with. We have bingo, and we've got Blythe story time. Some of the comments from Blythe residents are they're so very appreciative of the opportunities for social interaction offered at the library. You'll see card night here, as well as our crafting evenings that we do every Monday. The library is also a place for families just to pop in and play. It's a free spot for folks to come together for toys, puzzles, games. And one of the comments recently from one of our patrons was, I found it hard to meet other people until I started coming to the library. It is one of the things that we love, that people come together. And at times, the library sparks an idea and the community takes it and runs with it. So this was the case with our Remember When program. People enjoyed gathering and discussing the past so much that they decided to form a historical group. The groups now meet monthly in the Alice Munro program room. And with that, our program room, it's very frequently used, probably 3 to 4 times a week sometimes. And lastly, outreach. So the library staff takes requests, and we do monthly drop-in at our local nursing homes. In the past, we have also provided programs to our residents as well. Outreach is a wonderful opportunity to share what the library offers, as well as a chance to meet residents in our community. And on the last slide here, this lists some of our various community partners that we have worked with in the past. And yeah, that's just a few of those, and I think that's it. Yes. So again, thank you for having us.
I thank you very much, ladies, for your presentation. I just want to reiterate the appreciative of the people in town here that it can come with the historical group. They come down and they really appreciate that. One of the gentlemen's my neighbor, and just like that, I see you had 98,000 visits. That's a lot of people coming in and out. It's great to see that. And again, with the community connectors, they really find that a real good.
Projector, it's not the laptop. No.
They really find it really good. Be able to come have a place that they know they can come and meet and do the planning, and we really appreciate your input to help us out with things like that. So thank you very much. So at this time, I'd like to take any questions from the councilors for these ladies. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. I want to reiterate that the great work that you do at the libraries, it's much appreciated in every community that the library's involved in. My only question I had there, on your one slide there, you were showing kind of I guess, a part of an outreach within the building. We're taking someone coming in for a warm smile and a cup of coffee. I'm just wondering if you have a constant contact with Choices for Change and some of the other organizations that do provide support, and only support for displaced or the homeless. I just was curious as to if they're directed that way to support, or this is just a standalone.
Go ahead. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, we're always connecting with our community partners, and the Connection Center is one of those. So, as you know, they're only open certain times. So we do have folks that visit us daily, and sometimes they're visiting us for the whole day that we're open. So, as I say, we provide that safe spot for them, and it's a warm place. And we also, staff are trained in many ways to, with homeless training and crisis training and whatnot. So we do have a list of agencies that we can reach out to if need be, and we also pass that information out to the folks that may need it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for these ladies at all? Seeing none, I again appreciate your work that you put in out there, and again, we see Miss Rumbo down at the county there, and she keeps us informed what's going on at the other things. Saw some of the pictures here, and so it's good. And again, thank you very much for your work.
Thank you. Thank you for your support as well.
Okay, at this time, we'll go to 6.2.1. Bill Diedrich, Diedrich Engineering Limited, presentation of the engineer's report. Come on up front there, sir. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll just let Mr. Diedrich talk to the presentation, and then I'm sure there'll be maybe some questions after.
Okay, very good. I'd like to thank everybody for this opportunity. Reeve Heffer and members of council, I'll take a few minutes this evening just to review. The purpose of this meeting is, under the Drainage Act, is it's called the consideration of the drain report. So basically at the consideration, what we're going to be considering this evening is the work that's being proposed here. So the plan that's attached to our drainage report is up on the screen here, and if you have a copy of our drain report, I'm not going to go through the whole report, but I will go through the information that's on this plan, and maybe I'll review a bit of background information on how we got to where we are this evening. This report resulted in an appointment that our engineering firm had received under Section 78 of the Drainage Act from the Township of North Huron. And it started off as a repair and improvement project. And at the on-site meeting, we were asked to look at upgrading and replacing and improving the existing drainage system. At a later date, there was another petition was filed under Section 4 of the Drainage Act, and it was signed by Luke Schilder, Nick Beisenbergen, and Fred Meyer. And you'll see on the plan, we've added another branch to the municipal drain. The municipal drain is the purple line that's on the drawing, which is the main drainage system that provides the outlet for this drainage basin. And then we're also are proposing to construct a branch drain, which is shown on the plan as Branch A. And that was is included as part of this project. Bit of background on the existing drainage system. The drain that's there now that serves this watershed was constructed under the Drainage Act by a report that was prepared by Jones and Monteith engineers, and it dates back to July the 19th, 1933. And the existing main drain consisted of, back then, they installed 3,800 feet of 6-inch tile at the upper end of the drain and 14-inch tile where it outlets into the open portion. The open portion of the drain is the, I guess if you look at the colors on the drawing, there's more of the red or orange portion of the drain, and that's the existing open ditch that was constructed back or reconstructed in 1933. And there was 950 feet of open channel excavation in that drain report. The outlet for this whole area is into an existing watercourse at the property line between concessions 9 and 10 of lot 31. After we did a bit of research on these old drain reports, we held an on-site meeting back in June of 2023, and the survey we completed the field work, and then we had an information meeting to review our findings on September the 15th, and that was held here at the municipal office. So what we're proposing to do here under this report, the main drain will be reconstructed, and the main drain serves a watershed area, which is that dotted line around the outside of the plan. That's the catchment area, that's the watershed boundary, and it serves a drainage or catchment area of approximately 140 hectares of land, or 346 acres. Of that, there's approximately in that watershed, there's about 111 hectares that are workable, 22 hectares of bushland, and about 7 hectares of roads, which totals up to the whole 140 hectares in total. The closed portion of the main drain that's going to be replaced will be installing 1,232 meters of 350 millimeter tile at the upper end, and where it outlets into the existing open ditch, it'll be a 750 millimeter tile. So the drain commences, you'll see here on the southerly side of the Belgrave Road, and it outlets into the open ditch on the Henry Byler property in lot 31 of concession 9. This main drainage system will also include a new road crossing required under Belgrave Road, and this will be installed by the jack and bore method. At the outlet for this new system, we're proposing to clean out approximately 162 meters of the existing open ditch. The total estimated cost for this part of the project, this includes the construction costs, the allowances for right-of-way and damages to lands and crops that will be provided to the landowners, and administration costs. We've estimated this part of the project at $296,500. And then the second part to the project is the branch drain that was petitioned for. It's included in this report. and it serves a drainage basin of approximately 43 hectares. The length of it is 288 meters, and it's a 300 millimeter tile at the upper end, 450 millimeter tile where it's connected back into the main drain. It also includes, two road crossings, one under Beecroft line, which will be installed by the open cut method, and a road crossing at the upper end of the drain under Belgrave Road. The total estimated cost for this branch drain is $93,800. So that's gives you a kind of a brief outline of what's being proposed here. The costs are broken down in the report and also the schedule of assessment. But so if there's any questions, maybe any members of council have, or if there's any landowners present, I'll try to answer any questions you might have regarding the work that's being proposed here.
Okay, maybe first, Mr. Derick, we'll have the council members to present any questions to you first, and then we'll go to the public, okay? Yeah, go ahead, turn them on. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Through you, Reeve. The initiating conditions of this to come through, to come forward for reconsideration, is it the drain is no longer functioning as it was, or it's just like, let's talk about replacing the whole thing. I was just wondering, is the branch deemed to be no longer functioning as it was?
The existing drain, first of all, was installed back in 1933. So it's in, what we've done here today is brought this drainage system up to today's standards. So there's and also the depth of the drain is not adequate to artificially drain the lands within this catchment area. So there's several reasons, or when we looked at the old system, it was time for it to be replaced. It's in very, very poor condition.
Thank you.
Councillor Palmer?
Yeah, just curious, it's 30 inches getting near the end.
Yes.
And was there a reason for that? Could it have gone a different way and the whole pipe been smaller, or was this it? Like, I know the land is severely level,
Yeah.
and so are you using the pipe to be the actual drain? You know what I mean? The leveling point?
Yeah, no, the sizing of the pipe, we used a drainage, it's engineers across the province today, the Minister of Agriculture and Food basically sets the guidelines for us to design municipal drainage pipe systems. And we used a 1.5 inch or 38 millimeter drainage coefficient. That means we have to design the system to handle the drainage basin, all the lands within that drainage basin for a 1.5 inch rainfall in a 24-hour period. Now, to do that, what some of the determining factors are the grade of the pipe, obviously. If we had a lot more grade in this area, there'd be a lot smaller pipe, because as you increase the grade, you increase the capacity or the velocities through the pipe, and you can get, so based on this watershed area and based on the gradients we have to work with here, that's the size of pipe that's required. And also where years ago, like where there was no surface inlets installed on the drain or no catch basins, years ago, we would design drainage systems for maybe an inch drainage coefficient or 3/4 inch. But today, with the surface inlets, you'll find that most the design that's being used is a 1.5 inch, and that's what determined the pipe size.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Diedrich? Okay, seeing none. Okay, now we'll go, this is 6.2.3, opportunity to comment by others in attendance. If there's anybody like to comment, just come up to the mic there and state your name and case.
Here comes one.
Good evening. My name is James Hess. I'm one of the property owners on the very west part of this project. One question I have with regards to Schedule D on page 14 of the report from the engineer. I'll give you a moment to get to there. When it comes to the assessment of the for maintenance, I understand that the assessment is divvied up by the property and the areas of hectare ownership that go and are supported by this drain. Is there any idea what the maintenance is for and what kind of costs that are going to be involved with this drain going forward?
Oh, okay. Typically, in you'll find in all drainage reports, the engineer must include not only a schedule for construction of the drain, but also to maintain this drainage system if there was maintenance required. Now, all you'll find in this municipality and most municipalities, with closed drainage systems, there's very little maintenance required. Open ditch systems, sometimes we do a lot of work over in Perth County. We're in there cleaning out these ditches probably every 10 years. So the cost of maintaining or cleaning the ditch and keeping them functioning is billed back using the maintenance schedule. That's why there's a schedule in there. But this schedule will only be used, let's say there was a tile repair required along the drain someplace, the municipality or the drainage superintendent would use this schedule then for assessing out the costs. But if there isn't any maintenance the next 30 years, this schedule never gets used. So the construction schedule will be used, and the cost will be prorated based on the actual costs, but the maintenance schedule is there to be used if required down the road.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hess, go ahead, Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. Yeah, just curious, again, you're cleaning out the ditch, it'll be north of the home, right?
That's correct.
That's outside of the drainage,
Outside of what drainage?
the drainage system, the catch, outside the blue line.
Oh, okay, it's right at the outlet for this tile system is that existing municipal drain, and it is a municipal drain. We're only be cleaning out about 160 meters of it. We have a better freeboard for our new system. So, it's, and all the lands within the upper end of the tile system have to pay to maintain that section of ditch if it needs cleaned again in the future. So it's all prorated based on the area that's draining in there. Now, if there's any major reconstruction of the Robinson open portion, that would go back to a new engineer's report on the open portion. But the only section of the ditch that we're looking at that's required to be maintained under this report is the about 160 meters.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that should be paid by the people north, that's all.
Yeah.
Just wondering, like,
It has to be paid. The only
by
reason
somebody,
The
yeah.
reason we're doing it is to provide an outlet for this new tile system.
to help the situation.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, and one more question from Mr. Hess, please.
I apologize. There was one thing I didn't remember at the time. With this assessment, it's listed that there are grants available for the total costs of the drain being put in and installed. How do these grants work? Do we apply for those as landowners, or is it the township that actually applies on our behalf?
Good question. The grants on municipal drainage projects comes from the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, and it's the program that we apply for. The municipality will assist them in filling out the application. But it's under the ADIP program, which is the Agricultural Drainage Infrastructure Program, and presently 1/3 of the costs of the actual final cost, if your property is eligible for the farm class tax rate, you'll be eligible for that 1/3 grant, and the municipality applies for the grants. The farmers don't. So when the project is completed, the final cost will be billed out prorated with the drain report, less the 1/3 grant. So the municipality applies for the grant. You don't have to do that.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
And my wife and I are new to this drainage project kind of deal. How do we get assessed as ratepayers?
Oh, how do you get billed?
Yes.
Oh, again, until the final project, until the drain is 100% completed, and the municipality has to wait until the engineer provides them with a completion certificate and all the final costs are in, there'll be a final assessment schedule drafted up at that time based on the schedule. This is just an estimate, so the final costs will be billed out based on the final actual cost of the project. Those costs are not billed out until the project's completed. And typically, there'll be an invoice sent out to the landowners for this project. So the cost won't be assessed out until the job's done. And it'll be probably an invoice sent through the mail. Is that how it works?
Yes, that's correct.
The total cost? Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Were there any other questions? Okay.
Just in general, Mr. Dietrich, then how long is this drain expected to last this time? Like, is this a 40-year drain, a 30-year drain?
I know the last one lasted from 1933 to today, so hopefully with the materials we're using today and how drains are constructed, hopefully it'll last at least that long or more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, 6.2.4, it's the opportunity to add or withdraw names from petition. Are there any changes here? Seeing none. 6.2.5, decision of council on the Robinson Municipal Drain Project 2023 is that the council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopts the engineer's report for the Robinson Municipal Drain Project 2023 as presented by Diedrich Engineering Limited, and further, that council provisionally adopt the first and second readings of the bylaw number 73-2023. May I have a mover? Councillor Palmer, seconder. Councillor Anita Van Hitterson, sorry. All in favor? Carried. 7.1, Clerk's Department, 7.1.1. Oh, thank you, Mr. Jake, I'm sorry.
I thought that was probably the, okay, well, thank you for this opportunity to make the presentation. So just a few steps along the way after tonight's meeting, if the provisional report is adopted by council, that'll be circulated to the landowners with the next, another notice for the Court Revision. Then we'll touch base with Carson about calling for tenders. Okay?
Okay.
Well, thanks. Have a
Yep.
great evening.
Thank you very much for answering the questions. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to ask Planner Hallman with her presentation, 7.1.1, PL 2023-15, consent application, LAD 346 Queen Street.
Thank you, Council, for having me this evening. I'm just going to bring up my presentation. So as mentioned, this presentation is for a proposed severance at 346 Queen Street in Blythe. The subject property currently is designated commercial and is zoned C5, which is the fringe core area commercial in the North Huron zoning bylaw. So this zone permits primarily commercial uses, but it also does permit some residential uses as a flex zone, and it does permit a single detached dwelling. So the subject property does contain an existing single detached dwelling on the lands to be retained. And then in the side yard is the area that is proposed to be severed for purposes of future development with a potential single detached dwelling. So the following provides details on the proposed severance as per the applicant, the sketch provided by the applicant. The severed lands are approximately 470 square meters with 18 meters of frontage along Wellington Street, so identified in the pink, And then the retained lands are approximately 581 square meters, contain an existing single detached dwelling, and abut Wellington Street as well as Queen Street. Sorry. The following are site visit photos of the subject property, showing the retained lands as well as the existing dwelling on the on the retained piece. In terms of comments, the application was circulated publicly as per the Planning Act, and no public comments were received in writing. No concern was raised either from township staff or county public works, and their comments have been reflected in the report and conditions. In terms of the policy review, the policy and the provincial policy statement here in County and North Huron official plans support infill severances and intensification, such as proposed with this application. There is a condition that a minor variance or a rezoning be obtained by the applicant to recognize the resulting rear and exterior side yard zoning deficiencies. So that's with respect to, if I go back to the slide, with the existing dwelling on the proposed retained lot. As a result of the severance, what is considered the frontage and then as well as the exterior side yard in the eyes of the zoning bylaw will be changing as a result of the severance. So there's a proposed condition just to recognize the reduced resulting exterior side yard and then the rear yard. And then it's also worth noting that the lot depth at 25 meters is less than what's currently required in the zoning bylaw. So there has been a condition to recognize that there would also be a zoning bylaw amendment for that. But the lot areas as well as the frontages are met. So the proposal is still considered appropriate in this sense, but that has been recognized in the condition. It is recommended that the consent application be approved with the attached conditions. And these conditions are included here, copied from the report. For the most part, they are standard conditions with the exception of that condition number 6 that just speaks to obtaining a minor variance or a rezoning as a condition. So I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Holman? Go ahead, Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. Hannah, the adjacent property to the west looks like a lot that belongs to the house next door. This severance of this property, does that in any way hinder or remove the ability for that property to sever that piece of land in between? Because it seems if that variance is okay, then does that leave enough room for the other, for something else? I'm just curious as to, it just looks like it would limit it because of the just the situation on the lot of the other house. But.
Yes, through the Reeve. So in my opinion, I don't think it would hinder that property. With respect to what they're requesting for the reduced rear yard, it's currently to recognize the setback as it exists today. It's just a matter of the yard is changing. So it would be recognizing where the existing building is, not necessarily proposing that it comes closer. That's at least what I've discussed with the applicant. They certainly still have to move forward with submitting their minor variance. So I'm not of the opinion that it would hinder the development there. It's also my opinion that the potential future residential use is also compatible with the church
I have a
use.
follow-up question.
Okay, follow up.
Thank you. Yeah, are there different setbacks for property when they're, because it's originally commercial residential, but it's next to institutional, I guess institutional, a church, but it has a large addition placed on it. Does that change the zoning at all for what you can have for setbacks on that piece of property?
Yes, through the Reeve. So there are different setbacks for, if they were to locate residential, for example, there would be a required larger side yard setback. The rear yard doesn't necessarily change, but that would be something that would be considered. Similarly, if there was a proposed commercial use here with respect to the property to the east, that is a residence, they would be required to have an increased side yard setback. So that will depend on that. In terms of this application, the applicants have indicated that they intend to use it as a development lot for a future single detached dwelling. That's how the application was evaluated in terms of the appropriateness of the lot size. But if that proposal were to change, the expectation would be that you're meeting the required setbacks in the zoning bylaw, and they may be increased if there's a commercial use, for example.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Palmer, please.
Thank you, Reeve, and through you to Hannah. Yeah, I was curious as well about that other lot between, to the, I guess it is to the east. But that house is sitting right on the, if the lines are right, the house is sitting right on the lot line, so it's almost, that lot would be unusable. There wouldn't be enough side yard. But anyways, it's just something to watch for if they ever had an inkling of doing anything. But yeah, it looks like it's a good spot. It won't be a big house that fits in there, but looks good.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Hallman? Seeing none? File number 60C064-2023, applicant Mike Ladd, property description, Plan 169, Block B, Lot 14, Blythe Ward, Township of North Huron, 346 Queen Street, that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby recommend approval of consent application file number C064-2023, applicant owner Mike Ladd, property description, Plan 169, Block B, Lot 14, Blythe Ward, Township of North Huron, 346 Queen Street, with the conditions set out in the Huron County Planning and Development Report presented by Hannah Holland, planner, at the October 16th, 2023 council meeting. I have a mover. Councillor McBurney, seconder. Councillor Whitfield, all in favor. Carried. Okay, 7.1.2, Plan 2023-16, consent application, Vincent Acres Incorporated, 85965 Curry Line. Planner Hallman, if you could carry on, please.
All right, thank you. So as mentioned, the subject property is located on Curry Line. The property currently is approximately 200 acres in size, and the proposed severance is under the surplus farm severance policies. The lands are designated agriculture with a portion that is natural environment. Currently, the property is majority zoned AG1, which is general agriculture, with a portion that is natural environment. The subject property does contain an existing dwelling as well as 4 accessory structures. The following provides details on the proposed severance as submitted by the applicant with their sketch, which is shown in this picture here. So the retained lands would be approximately 195 acres of vacant agricultural land and natural environment area. The severed area is approximately 5.65 acres in size, consisting of a dwelling as well as accessory buildings. And then there's just a further view showing the area to be severed. The following are site visit photos of the subject property. So this first photo here is just looking to the west along the driveway, so you can see the front area of the proposed severed lot, and then looking towards the building cluster. This photo here, this second photo, is the area that's just south of the driveway that's proposed to be included in the severed area. The following includes some more site visit photos, so you can see the dwelling in the first photo here, as well as the 2 accessory buildings. And then these are the 2 other accessory buildings for the total of 4 accessory buildings. So we can see the older barn structure there, and then there currently is some livestock on the property. In terms of comments, so again, the application was circulated as per the Planning Act publicly to neighbors, and no public written comments have been received to date. The application was also circulated to township staff. They have indicated no concern and confirmed that there are no municipal drains on the property. In terms of the policy review, my report does expand on this further. So my evaluation of the application was against the policy direction, the provincial policy statement, Huron County and North Huron official plans for surplus severances. It is my opinion that the proposal meets all that criteria, with the exception of this criteria here, that the area of farmland attached to the surplus house is kept to a minimum size needed for the residential purpose, taking into consideration water and sewage services and environmental and topographic features. It is my opinion, as outlined in the report, that the size of the severed lot as applied for, which includes the area to the south of the driveway has not been demonstrated to support the residential use. So there has been a condition attached that this area be excluded. The reasons being, again, it has not been demonstrated that this area is necessary to support the residential use of the property, which is how any policies for surplus severance should be evaluated. The main future use of that lot shall be for residential. In terms of the northern area of the driveway, my report does elaborate on this further. It is a smaller area with a smaller depth, and it's also worth noting that that the buildings on this side do come a little bit closer to the road. So it was my opinion that this area was able to be reasonably included as a minor rounding off of the property, and then to also offer some frontage. But in terms of that area to the south, and particularly as it's being cropped today, it's my opinion that it's not necessary to support the residential use. I'm just going to go back to the previous slide. So I did discuss this with the applicant, and they have provided a letter as well as some correspondence that was attached to the council agenda that just gives their perspective on why they would like the lot to be approved as per the original size at 5.65 acres. And then I also will note that the applicant is in attendance at this meeting this evening. But in terms of the planning comments, it is recommended that there be a condition attached that the proposed severed lot be reduced in size to approximately 4 acres to exclude this area, which is located as highlighted in that blue area there, which is approximately a size of 1.65 acres. My report also does reference that there are some livestock holdings on the property, but since there's not a lot of formal livestock infrastructure in terms of things like pens or manure storage, there hasn't been a condition attached that that livestock infrastructure be removed as a result of the severance. So in terms of the recommendation, it is recommended that the consent application be approved with the attached conditions, including, again, that aforementioned condition, which is number 8 in my report, to reduce the size of the proposed severed lot, as outlined before. So what I will be looking for this evening is council will need to provide direction on the application, and more specifically, whether they would like to proceed with my recommendation, which is to include that condition number 8, to reduce the lot area, or council can also provide direction if they wish to recommend that the application be approved as submitted. And then in that case, council would need to provide direction specifically to exclude condition number 8, or as always, council is welcome to provide different direction as well. So in terms of the recommended conditions, these are included here. So you will note condition number 8 does speak to that reduction. And then otherwise, the conditions are all generally standard conditions, but I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Okay, thank you very much, Hannah. At this time, yeah, we could have the lights, so. Okay, at this time, I'll ask council members if they got any questions for Hannah. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you, through you, Reeve. The request for the severance to be a rectangular lot with that extra 4 acres in it. I'm going to say this. Doesn't that go against about 20 other properties that I've been a part of severancing in the township for Keyhole Farm surplus, where all you got was the width of the driveway, some grass to cut, and then the house. If this was granted as submitted, we would have 20 reapplications for properties that have already been severed and not allowed. How am I put this? Because if you had that acreage and that was still residential, as it's appeared to be, there would be no agricultural be able to be done on that property. So aren't they really trying to sever an agricultural portion? Because the taxes would be totally different, right? Because the taxes on 6 acres and a house with barns and would be, $1.5 million or $2 million in today's market for a hobby farm or a hobby place, where as a farm it wouldn't be anywhere near the taxes on that. I'm just was curious, I guess my question is, that goes in the face of what we've done for the past 6 years, 7 years that I've been on council. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, through the Reeve, I guess I can just make some general commentary that, in general, with surplus severances, is they all need to be evaluated on their individual merit. And a lot of times with these surplus severances, they weren't originally built to be easily severed, right? So there's always something different to consider in this case. And so that's also why we, in our policies, we don't have a set, maximum lot size or minimum lot size necessarily with these. But I mean, our opinion was that this offered a bit of a balance with that larger piece to the south that is currently being cropped, that would remain with the farmland, and then we were of the opinion that the area to the north was more minor in size and could be reasonably included with the severed lot. That was I think where we found some middle ground in terms of our recommendation.
Okay. Through the rebuttal?
Well, I just curious, will that be taxed as a residential property or as an agricultural property?
Through the Reeve, unfortunately, I don't have much knowledge on how the assessment would be. I don't know if any other staff has any comments, but I don't have that knowledge how it would be assessed.
To you, Reva, we have several that have spoken up during the tax, or during our open house, that they have similar properties to this, and they're paying residential taxes on larger pieces of property, which are assessed at a greater value, and they're paying very high taxes. If it was agricultural property, they would be taxed at a lower rate. I just don't see how it would be fair to have an agricultural piece of property being severed. It's the same as a residential piece of property. I understand what they're doing, and I support them 100%. But we haven't got the legislation or the Huron County ability to do that. I mean, we've had requests for like a 100-acre farm chopped into 10 pieces for a family or a community to be like a Mennonite community to have small acreages that they could have their family work on, but that's been denied many times over. I just see this setting, if we did this, that would set a precedent that we've already denied several times.
Go ahead, Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, thank you, Rave, and through you to Hannah. Yeah, the precedence has already been set. We have two recent ones where the acreage is slightly smaller than, is larger than just the house and a building or so. It was just down the road from this. And so it's already been set. It was the crocuses. Remember that one? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the examples. Anyways, there's a new, today there's a new problem that the Amish face, and we have to support a group of folks within our boundaries. They pay taxes, and they can't afford. As the young men marry, they typically are in history have always bought a 100-acre farm or so and live their lives. Today they can't. Too expensive. So what do? Two options. Leave, go to New Liskeard, go wherever. And the other is find places like this, little dwellings like this, because you would be surprised that if we left it as requested, the 5.65 acres, you'd be surprised the Amish family can make a living there. They will. We see it time and time again. How it's taxed, not sure. But that's something to deal with at that time. But they can make a living and pay taxes. So I want to support this group of folks as much as we can. There's a lot we can't do for them, but this is something that we can as dwellings like surplus residences come forth. Again, the precedence has already been set. It's not a bad thing. It's not hurting anybody. The landowner is happy to release that extra 1 acre and 0.65. And for him, he's got very large equipment, like it's 120-foot sprayer width and 96-foot length or deep seed drill affair, okay? How do you get that in there and get it turned around and backed in and all that? So from his standpoint, square is best. So he's happy to do that for this, this piece of property. You know, that's enough for right now.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to Councillor Wright and then to Deputy Reeve. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thanks, through you, Reeve. So Hannah, I just have a couple questions just about the zoning and future use, right? Because, I mean, if it was just severing a house that had a shed off or whatever, it'd be residential and it'd be clear cut. So I just wonder if you can provide any more clarity, like, would there be any future restrictions on the use of this property? Like, because there's already barns and some animals there. Is there any restrictions going forward? Because I know maybe technically it's going to change from agricultural to residential, but I mean, I can still grow a garden on a residential piece of property, right? So I'm just curious how, if there's any future restrictions that would come into play here.
Certainly. Yes, through the Reeve. So in terms of, the part that gets severed, it's been the longstanding practice that it's automatically rezoned to what we call the AG4-9, so the special zone 9. And the AG4 zone is agricultural smallholding, so that's what majority of these smaller rural properties are zoned elsewhere in the county. So what it does is it just recognizes that the residential use is the main use, because like you said, right, typically the surplus severances are a lot smaller in size. In terms of their limitations on the livestock, we have changed our approach in the county, so there's no longer a restriction. There was previously a restriction on regulating the nutrient units. That's since become inoperable, so that's been removed. And then council, as per the most recent zoning bylaw review, did provide direction to allow livestock to be held in accessory buildings on these AG4 properties, just subject to things like a 10-meter setback from the rear and side yard. So that's the direction we've gone, is to recognize that there still is that option for that. But certainly just given the size of the property, there may be limitations for them if they wanted to put a larger livestock operation, because more so because of the minimum distance separation formula by the province. Having a smaller lot, right, it's going to be a lot more difficult to meet those lot line setbacks. So that's mostly what the restrictions are. In terms of the farmland, we are required by provincial policy to rezone that to restrict the building of any new residence. So that's because this residence has been deemed surplus and not necessary. Since this property is a 200-acre, so 2 original farm parcels, our practice in the county has been in these cases, that restrictive zoning to restrict a residence would only apply to the one section of the 100, just because we've seen a few cases where they come in wanting to do 100-100 split, and then having to rezone that, so.
Do you mind if I just ask a quick follow-up? Would, in the future, would it be allowed to subdivide this property in further severances? If say they wanted to build a second house in this area, would this be allowed or not?
Through the Reeve, so if they wanted to build a second residence on the existing property, provided that the new zoning amendment does go through, they can either have one unit in an accessory building or a unit in the main dwelling. In terms of severance, that wouldn't be an option. So the North Huron official plan, and then as well as the provincial policy statement, does restrict any new lot creation, with the exception of a surplus severance. So they wouldn't have an option to sever that land, unless in the future they wanted to sever it and merge it with the neighboring farm property, but not a new residential lot.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Reeve?
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. I'm not sure whether this would be through our own finance department. I'd like clarification on what the taxation would be, how it would be taxed. Because I'm still not satisfied that I've got an answer as to whether that would be a residential property or whether that's an agricultural property, because we have both in the country. And being taxed to, I just want to make sure that we're fair across the board to all of the the taxpayers.
Through you, Reeve Heffer to Deputy Reeve Faulkner. MPAC will come in, do their, well, hopefully, in the very near future, and they will be providing us with a new assessment. Based on the information I currently have, chances are it would be considered vacant land. It would be taxed at residential, but with the sounds of it, but the assessed value of the property would be likely very low compared to having a $400,000 house on it.
You're happy with that, Deputy Reed?
Can I apply to have my assessment changed to AG4 in the town of Blythe then, or?
Let's carry on here. Okay, Councillor, are you all right with that then? The way he spoke?
Still didn't, that's fine.
Through you, Reeve, to Deputy Reeve Falconer, we, as municipal staff, we do not provide the assessment, right? So when the homeowner or property owner does get assessed from MPAC, that's what we will tax on when we receive the assessment roll in December. And of course, as the property owner, they do have the right to appeal their assessments through MPAC. And, you know, in the very near future, I'll have a couple reports coming to you for consideration anyhow.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Van Hitterson and then Councillor Palmer, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is more to Deputy Reeve Falconer. Normally, Ag Fort properties are 1.5 acre residential, if there's a house on it, 1.5 acre residential, and the rest is agriculture or vacant land, or so there is residential tax on the house.
Thank you very
On
much.
1.5 acre is residential, and the rest is vacant or agriculture.
Okay, Councillor Palmer, please.
Yeah, it'll be residential, and it'll be, through you, Reeve, and it'll be assessed at the value of that particular house. You'd have to go there and take a look at it. Right now, I'd like to say that the place is, you saw it, Hannah, quite messy. There's someone else living in a trailer, and, you know, how do you get rid of that situation? But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is the Amish typically are very neat and tidy people. So the lot will be looking good, you know, if we can get this through. And so that should be of a good concern. But I really want to say, like, that extra little bit of land, they can garden it, pasture for their house, sort of the horse and their milk cow. It's a needed place. And again, this parcel, they can make a living there. And then pay the taxes. So, like, if it doesn't happen, the landowner has said, well, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm just going to bulldoze it. So do we want that? No taxes. You know, so at least we'd have some residential taxes there and family living. I would, at this point, everybody, okay, I'd like to amend the motion, please. And it would state everything as presented, except take off the condition number 8, exclude number 8.
So the motion being moved by Councillor Palmer would be that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby recommend approval of consent application file C-63-2023, applicant owner Vincent Acres, Inc., in care of Dean Vincent, property description, concession 12, part lots 38 and 39, East Wawanesh Ward, Township of North Huron, 85965 Curry Line, with the conditions set out in the Huron County Planning and Development Report presented by Hannah Holman, planner at the October 16, 2023 council meeting, exclusive of condition number 8.
Okay. Councillor Palmer moves that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Van Hitterson? Okay, any other questions?
Do we have debate on the
This
motion?
one, Matt. Oh,
Is that what you?
okay, questions, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just, through you to Hannah, is the ultimate purpose for this severance going to be in contradiction to the severance if it is used for how it is being indicated to be used as a small acreage farm? It's no longer a residential severance. Is there a way to sever this as a small farm in the bylaws of Huron County?
Through the REEV. So the current official plan otherwise provides for severances for new agricultural lots, provided that I believe the minimum lot size is 38 hectares. So that's what's common for commercial scaled agriculture. So the lot size for a new agricultural lot would be a lot larger in that case if it would be evaluated under the severance policies.
So then, I guess my follow-up would be then if the motion was to go through with the added acreage to provide an agricultural living off of this residential severance, one seems to contradict the other. I'm just sure because you've come back or you come to us with that number 8 excluding that property to follow the rules of Huron County. By adding it, would that not go against the rules of Huron County?
Right, so through the REEF, so as my report says, it's my opinion that, as per my recommendations, that's what meets the provincial policy, county official plan, and North Huron official plan. That's what my opinion is, that reducing the area, because it, again, the way I have to evaluate it is that the residential should be the main use. So that's what my recommendation was, that provided that conditions attached, that it would meet those policy requirements, if that answers your question.
Just the other word, would that not then allow every other severance that's been done to come back and reapply or reassess the property in the same way as this property? Does that not set, because we're talking about precedents here, does that not make that possible?
Right, so through the REEV, so, I mean, if a landowner wanted to do that, they're more than welcome to apply. But like I said, we would have to evaluate every application on its individual merit. And a lot of times with these surplus severances, right, they're not, a lot of them, sometimes they have environmental or topographic features, so those would be all things that we would evaluate and each application on its own merit.
Just to you, Reeve, the properties that we have in East Monash or in North Huron that are residential are paying a much higher tax for the property that they have than what it would be to pay on the taxes on this property. We're going to get a lot of flack on those properties. Why are they paying a higher price when they can just apply for this same severance? Okay, that's all I had to say.
Go ahead, Councillor Palmer.
It's assessment, whatever the house is on, like whatever it happens to be. If it's a mansion, it'll be assessed high. If it's just a typical little house, it'll be assessed low, so it's irrelevant. Every place is different, every place.
Couldn't someone come in and buy the property and remove the house and build a new house in that same spot?
That, well, there's the perspective of
No, I'm not,
purchasing.
I'm not getting
Okay, we have
into
a-
perspective.
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
we have a motion on the floor here. We have a mover and a seconder. I want to call a vote here now. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you very much, Hannah. Thank you. Thanks for turning the light off there, too. Appreciate that. This time, we go to 7.3.1. RC 2023-20 Blythe Campground 2023 Season Update and Dumping Stations. In this, are there any questions for our Director Fortney, or would he like to say anything? We'll just let him come over to the microphone and... Okay, it's a good report that you put together for us, so are there any questions at this time from, yeah,
The questions for the, on
yeah,
the report?
for, yes. Any questions for our Director Fortney, please? Well, I thought I saw, oh, thank you, go ahead, Mr. Wright.
Yeah, thanks, through you, Reeve. So I guess I just want to make two clarifications here. So the three options are presented. They're kind of all different shades, but one of the biggest, I went back and looked at the budget, and one of the biggest line items on the budget for the campground was salaries and wages, right? So none of these options, I mean, unless the campground's completely closed, but none of these options would actually reduce net wages that the municipality is going to cover, right? They may not be applied to this line, they might be applied somewhere else, but the net wages wouldn't actually change, right?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Wright. There would be some reduction in wages because we would still have staff that wouldn't have to go out and manage campers as they come in, take their money, process the information through to the finance department. There would be a slight reduction in the amount of maintenance on the overall site. However, we still have a standard to maintain throughout the whole entire site. There'd be more other fixed costs like utilities that would be certainly reduced. The amount of water, the electricity usage, those things would certainly be reduced if we got out of it.
Sorry, to clarify, so our staff are paid extra above their base pay for doing that work?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, no. What I'm suggesting is we wouldn't have to carry part-time staff to specifically look after that facility.
So it'd be part-time staff reduction?
It'd likely be part-time staff reduction. However, that's split across the entire facility, including the community center and the ball diamonds and et cetera.
And then the other clarification I would just like to make on this is for the dumping station. So I do intend to amend the motion, just because I think we have talked about, and I think it's a good idea that we should be looking at our 2024 capital plan as a blanket of projects. I don't think, the problem with saying, yes, go ahead with this project, is I don't know what other project I may want to put a higher priority than this one, right? So I think that's why it's important that we look at all the projects at once as part of the budget planning process. So I do plan to amend the, I don't think it's a bad project. I just don't think we should give the go-ahead at this time when we're just about to enter the budget planning process, so.
So if I may, Your Worship, so just, I guess, to put you at ease, Councillor Wright, so that would still occur based on this motion for that project. It's just to include the necessary funds in the draft capital budget.
Okay.
So there's a difference between, I guess, the pre-budget approval for the project and including it in the draft project. So this would just be one of the list of one project in the list of projects that come forward for council approval.
Okay.
So if that's your intent, that you want to discuss it at that time, based on what you have in the motion now, you're not approving it because of the fact that it would come forward in the draft budget.
Okay,
So.
thanks for the clarification.
Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. If the booking's done online and the money's paid for camping online or e-transfer, which it is currently now, the notion of part-time staff being eliminated because they don't have to go out and collect money, is there not staff there during the daytime anyway? It sounds like there's nobody there. There's always someone there during shift hours, regular hours, and I don't remember anyone having to come in specifically to run around and collect the cash. It's just a statement. And the other one is the expenses allotted against the trial camping that we said we were due for 25 lots. I see the cost for cutting the grass for the ball diamond and around the skate park and around the Thrashers buildings that they own is all included in this as a budget for the camping, where that would still have to be done, no matter whether there's anybody camping on it or not, because it's community grounds. So the numbers that were used to come up with that assessment as to what it costs and what it really, revenue versus expenses. I think as I tried to do the math, it was roughly about $2,000 is what it cost. I think as the as Ms. King said here, the benefits to the community for uptown and people attending the theaters and stuff would be way outweighed over the $2,000 that you're assessing that we should cancel doing the camping at the campground. And I wholeheartedly think that it should be looked at as a whole. If we're going to look and use those metrics for seeing what we do and what we don't do as far as recreation in our municipality, then I say we should look at something that's going to be taking a little bit more than $2,000 off the budget. We have things that cost us way more over cost and recovery and expenses that would make a much bigger hit. So.
Okay, go ahead,
Through you, Reeve Heffer, just to make a couple of comments for clarity. I'm not suggesting we get rid of part-time staff. I'm just suggesting that we wouldn't have them on the site necessarily as long, and we would be shifting, as my plan is, staff around all North Huron properties, so they would be certainly reallocated to other facilities. Certainly, I guess through Deputy Reeve Faulkner, we certainly would still have to maintain the property. But some of those fixed costs of utilities in particular would be reduced somewhat. And as pointed out in the report, there is a $33,000 deficit. This is based on the GL, the general ledger. And to date, for 2023, if council wishes to continue with a deficit operation there, that's totally be your decision to make. And I just need some direction so that I can move forward with the user fees as well as the 2024 budget. And if status quo is what you wish to continue with, I'm okay to do that, certainly.
Thank you. Councillor Palmer, please.
Thank you, Reeve. Yeah, you did touch on user fees. I think it's kind of obvious that whatever option we choose, if it continues, they should go up. They have to reflect the cost today. So that's my main point. I was interested in option 3. It seemed to be the only one that made some sense. For me anyways, special events campground. We've got 28 other campgrounds in the area that we need to compete where we would compete with, and they're all private, so, do we want to compete with them is a question. But I'm just going to throw this out as an idea. It's sort of a hybrid version. I know the costs will still be there, but we do have that little project going on with the 25 sites. We have fire pits, we have picnic tables. I'm wondering if we did the hybrid if we did the special event one, but had the 25 sites in a particular spot, the people, if they come in to use one of them, they don't get the luxury of going anywhere they want, like I heard some people do. They'd be confined to a certain area, so it's easier to maintain. I just throw that out as an idea. It's a bit keeps almost everybody happy a little bit. What do other councillors think of that?
We have a hand up here first, and then we'll go to Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve Heffer, through you. I think the Blythe Campground is a beautiful little spot in Blythe. Many councils have struggled with its use and with everything, and I was wondering if this council would think it would be a good idea to do a survey for the people of Blythe, or to start a committee of council to look at the opportunities that the campground has for us, like people from the youth group who are already here for soccer fields, paddleball. There could be a walking trail, there could be some houses. It's like there's so many opportunities that would bring recreation, culture, and everything to town. Especially now we're looking at the development of, and hopefully coming a lot of people, more people to town, to have some people in the community have a say in what the best thing would be for Blythe.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Wright?
Yeah, and sorry, I'm just checking something, a photo I took of some notes earlier today. But no, I don't disagree with anything Councillor Van Hitterson said. And then I think if we're gonna do that, maybe the conservative approach would be just option one, status quo. You know, something that I think we need to recognize when we're having all these discussions is that any base salary cost can be put in any GL line item, right? And so if cutting a service isn't going to reduce that cost, it's just gonna transfer it to a different spot in our budget, then it's not really a cost associated necessarily with this. We just do that on accounting principles, right? So understand the GL looks like we lose 33,000 on the campground, but we don't, because if we close the campground, that permanent employee, their wages would just get put somewhere else. And that's the biggest part of the 33,000. If you tease the numbers out another way, we're only actually losing about $1,300 on the campground from last year, right? It's not a significant loss. So anyways, that's my thought. We could partition to see what we want to do with it, but I think the status quo makes the most sense in my books. And sorry, because special event would then, people can't camp there associated with the harvest stage and stuff, right? That would prevent any of those activities.
So we got a couple different things here, so I'm just going to go to our clerk for clarification here, what we want.
Well, ultimately, someone needs to put a motion forward from council, because as the director has indicated verbally and then also in the report, he needs some direction on what he needs to do in regard to fees and charges, as well as the 2024 budget. He noted in the report that there's a number of capital items that will need upgraded if you go with a certain direction over the other. So I guess ultimately, you as council need to provide that direction. So by putting an option forward or by putting a combination of options forward. I guess the other comment would be specifically in regard to the committee approach. I guess my comment would be, if that's something council wants to consider, you in an interest of valuing those who participate, you would want to make sure they know up front whether you as a council are willing to spend dollars on whatever they come up with. Because I guess in the past, there has been a history of committees being established, them coming forward with the recommendations, and then it gets to the table and then there's no money there, and all those members of the community who volunteered and spent their time working on this are kind of get to the point of, well, why was I just involved? Why did I spend my time doing this for a year and a half if the outcome was never going to be taken, for lack of a better way to put it, taken seriously? That's obviously not the right word that I'm meaning, but I guess if that was something that you want to do, I guess you as a council would want to make sure that that's something you're willing to commit funds to, because you don't want those people to feel like they've spent their time on something that is pushed to the wayside, I guess.
Thank you for some clarification there. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Thank you. One comment, then I'll put a motion forward. The asset has been owned since amalgamation by the Township of North Huron. So it's been an asset, and we've treated it kind of wishy-washy as an asset. Last council term, I put a motion forward saying that we treat all of our assets with the same brush, as if we're going to have it, we're going to support it, which we do with all of our other assets. But my opinion, that I would put a motion forward that at the moment we will go with option one, status quo, only for the simple reason that the fees and the schedules and the user fees will all be hashed out during the budget process and through other communications of council, which wouldn't have any effect on it. They can be done at any time under option one. So I think the status quo, I'll put it forward, a motion to accept that.
Okay, we have Deputy Reeve Faulkner, mover. Do I have a seconder? Councillor McBurney? Any other comments? All in favor? Carried. Great. 7.4.1, Public Works 2023-26, renewal of municipal parking lot lease. Oh, I guess I got to read this. How do you want to read this here because of that?
Council had it in front of them, so you're good.
Yeah.
Yep, basically, I've just, for that previous motion, I've just filled in the option where it was left blank and, yep, which, with the inclusion of the dumping stations.
Okay, thank you. Renewal of the municipal parking lot lease at 11 John Street West, that the Council of Township of North Huron hereby receives report Public Works 2023-26, renewal of municipal parking lot lease at 11 John Street West, Wingham, from the Director of Public Works and Facilities, Interim Director of Recreation and Community Service, dated October 16, 2023, for information purposes. And further, that the council directs Director of Legislative Service / Clerk to prepare a bylaw for the November 6, 2023 regular meeting, authorizing the Reeve Clerk to sign the lease renewal agreement with M.W. Simpson Construction Limited for a municipal parking lot at 11 John Street, West Wingham, on behalf of the Township of North Huron for another 5-year term at an annual fee of $4,500. Are there any questions before I ask for a mover and a seconder for Director Fortney?
Not a question. Well, I guess it would be a question. Oh, sure. Through you, Reeve. The addition of the parking spaces behind the municipal office here, just wonder how many parking spaces, are we adding enough parking spaces to eliminate having to pay for them? Since we now have more parking here, I'm just curious, does the some of the parking is being infilled by the people that work actually at that building behind or in front of the parking. So I just was curious as to why we would be paying for that when we've just already added more parking.
We'll ask Director Fortney. Or
Through you, Reeve, effort to Deputy Reeve Faulkner. So currently behind the town hall, we have roughly 20 to 30 parking spots. I do have plans to bring forward a proposed project in the 2024 budget to have that back area paved, as well as along the both sides of the town hall and then over towards the library. So it'll be a much nicer paved area for people to park should they wish to do so. I can't say whether or not the folks that are parking at along 11 John Street West currently are working in the building adjacent to the parking lot, or they are patrons. I can't say that for sure. We have not to date have any complaints about the amount of parking in Wingham in particular. But we do have a lot of on-street parking and additional parking lots on both the west and east side of the road. So it's really up to council whether they'd like to proceed or not.
Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, I can just state, as somebody that frequents that into town quite often, it can be difficult to actually find parking in that one block of cars directly adjacent to where this parking lot is. So I think this parking lot is used fairly heavily because that's definitely the biggest or busiest section of town, and parking can be difficult to find on Main Street there. So I certainly support this.
Okay. Any other questions for our director? Seeing none? The Council of Township of North Huron hereby receives report Public Works 2023-26, renewal of municipal parking lot lease at 11 John Street West, Wingham, from the Director of Public Works and Facility Interim Director of Recreation and Community Services, dated October 16, 2023, for information purposes. And further, that the council directs the Director of Legislative Services Clerk to prepare a bylaw for the November 6, 2023 regular meeting, authorizing the Reeve and Clerk to sign the lease renewal agreement with M.W. Simpson Construction Limited for a municipal parking lot at 11 John Street on behalf of the Township of North Huron for another 5-year term at an annual fee of $4,500. May I have a mover? Counselor Palmer, Counselor Wright, all in favor? Sorry, I didn't remember. Carried. Public Works 2023-27 surplus equipment, that the Council of Township of North Huron hereby receives the report from Director of Public Works Facilities, Interim Director of Recreation and Community Service dated October 16, 2023, regarding the sale of surplus equipment from the Public Works and Facilities Department. And further, that the council authorize the Director of Public Works Facilities and the Director of Finance Treasurer to deem the equipment as surplus. And further, that the council authorize the Director of Public Works Facilities to advertise the surplus equipment on govdeals.ca. And further, that council authorize the Director of Finance/Treasurer to transfer the proceeds from the sale of surplus equipment into the Public Works Equipment Reserve Fund. May I have a mover and any questions, first of all, for Director Furtney? May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve? Councillor Whitfield? All in favor? Carried. Correspondence, 7.6.1, CS 2023-09, North Huron Museum de-accessioning project, report number 4, that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives the report prepared by the Community Engagement Coordinator dated October 16, 2023, regarding the North Huron Museum de-accessioning project, report number 4, for information purposes, and that further, that the council authorizes staff to continue with the de-accessioning process for the list of artifacts attached to staff report CS 2023-09 in accordance with the North Huron Museum de-accessioning policy. May I have a mover? Councillor Van Heersen, Councillor Whitfield. Are there any questions for CO Evans? Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Just wondering if we get a timing on the progress of this. I didn't mention at the other meeting on when we got the reports, but I thought when we hired staff, or temporary staff first thing in the year, it was stated that because we were able to find 2 staff, we were gonna be able to get done this project this year. But then I noticed in the CO report, it indicated it was gonna carry over to 2024, so I just wondered if we get clarification on how it looks like as far as the completion and timing of this project.
CO Evans, please.
Yeah, through you, Reeve, in terms of, so certainly anticipate the project will be wrapping up in 2024. So in terms of mid to late 2024.
But is that later than expected? Because I thought we heard at the beginning of this year that it was expected to be done this year.
The project, so the individuals were not, it was later in the year that we brought on the individuals.
Okay.
So, I mean, we haven't had a full 12 months of working on this project, so we need a good 12 months, 12 to 16 months is what's anticipated, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. May I have a mover?
You already
Right,
have a mover,
second.
second.
All in favor? Carried. Read report, sort of a quiet time. Again, it was a fire safety week this week, and I really appreciated the fire station being open here and also down Blythe, so families could bring their kids in, and I think it was Thursday night they had it, and talk about questions that these kids had, the excitement in their eyes, and just, I want to thank the firemen for taking their time and just showing these kids, and I really do believe that's time well invested in the future. And again, I want to thank them for the fish fry that they had, because all this monies that they made from that this past Sunday goes towards the fireworks, and it's a great outreach. Also, I want to thank the Public Works for setting up the veteran banners on the main street. It just shows the appreciation that we can show the veterans that fought for our country, and believe me, it is a great country as we listen to the news that goes on. And I know on the October the 17th is ECE, or Early Childhood Educators Day, and we just appreciate the work that these ladies do down at our daycare staff and the different rooms that they're involved in. And again, just thank them for that it is a special day that they're setting aside for that, and just thank you for the work that they are doing there. And again, just with the county, they're having the odd meeting now with, they're checking out their service reviews. That's a big thing on the docket list now. And again, as you see, we're going to be coming up to that too. So at this time, are there any council member reports, verbal or written updates from members who sit on boards or councils or committees? Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, thanks through you, Reeve. I didn't get a chance to forward it on to the councillors before the meeting. I will after the meeting. But through the BIA, I received an article that was written by a film crew which accompanied the Great Canadian Road Trip, I think it was called, Jason McCoy and Michelle Wright. And they're really glowing about the town, about their experience here, the small town feel, how well the town was kept. So it was a fun read, and I think it's easy. We see Blythe, we see Wingham every day, and I think we forget how fortunate we are. But when someone from the outside comes in, you know, they see it. So I'll send it on. It was a good read.
Thank you. Okay, are there any comments by members? Okay, seeing none. Okay, notice of motion, 9.4.1, that motion will be coming forward next it's going to be discussed November the 6th. Number 10, bylaws. Number 1, bylaw number 73-2023 Robinson Municipal Drain Project 2023 provisional adoption. That the bylaw number 73-2023 being a bylaw to provide for municipal drainage works and improvement in the township of North Huron in the county of Huron, Robinson Municipal Drain Project 2023 be introduced, read a first and second time, and provisionally adopted this 16th day of October 2023. May I have a mover? Councillor Palmer, Councillor Van Hitterson, all in favor? Carried. 10.2, bylaw number 74-2023, agreement with the DocuPet Inc. for pet licensing services. May I have a mover? Councillor Wright, Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. Announcements. A special council meeting, year-to-date meeting, will be held on Friday, October 20th, 2023 at 9 a.m. in the Town Hall here Theatre. The next regular council meeting will be held on Monday, November 6, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the North Huron Community Town Hall Theatre. The next BIA board meeting will be held on Thursday, October 19th, 2023 at 6:30 in the Hot Stove Lounge at the North Huron West Cass Community Complex. And the next Blythe BIA board meeting will be held on Thursday, October 26, 2023 at 8 a.m. at the Blythe and District Community Center. Are there any other announcements may have missed? Seeing none. Court of Revision 12.1 Robinson Municipal Drain Project 2023. 12.1.1 date of court revision and instruction to tender that the Court of Revision for the Robinson Municipal Drain Project 2023 be set for November 8th, 2023 at 10 a.m. and that the project be tendered with results to be collected on the same date and presented subject to any appeals. And further, that any appeals must be received in writing 10 days prior to the Court of Revision in accordance with Section 52-2 of the Drainage Act, RSO 1990, Chapter D17, amended by 2010, C.16, Schedule 1, Schedule 21. May I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Van Hitterson, Councillor Palmer, all in favor? Carried. And members of the Court of Revision, that the members of the Court of Revision for the Robinson Municipal Drain Project shall consist of the following three members: Councillor Van Hitterson, Councillor Palmer, Deputy Faulkner. May I have a mover? Councillor McBurney, seconder? Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. No closed session. Conformatory bylaw. bylaw number 75-23 conformatory bylaw. Mover, Counselor Deputy Reeve Faulkner, seconder, Counselor Wright. All in favor? Carried. Adjournment that the Council of the Township of North Huron agree that there being no further business before council, the meeting be hereby adjourned at
7:45 PM.
7:45 PM. Mover, Counselor McBurney, seconder, Counselor Wright. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out, and